Have you ever wondered about the stereotypes between men and women? There's a lot of them. And they might be there for a reason, but they also might not be. And today I'm going to explain why we believe these things and how they might be stopping you from having the connections that you really want in life. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist and a life recovery coach. So what I do is I help my clients address their unwanted feelings, behaviors on a subconscious level. So we get to the heart of what's driving those things, reframe it subconsciously so they can finally move into the life they want, into the love they want, and functioning in a way that allows them to be their most authentic selves. So if you'd like to learn more, there is a link in the description below. You can check out my website, or you can set up a completely complimentary consultation call where we can chat for a while and I can get to the heart of what's going on with you, hopefully get you some clarity and give you the best options and recommendations for what you're dealing with. So you'll want to check that out. And also, before I dive into this, I want to remind you to please click like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. So to begin with, I want to just point out a few things, big examples. Like, there are countries in this world that have literally been fighting for thousands of years over an issue. Now, we try to understand that from afar, what's going on, but the truth is there's so many layers to it, and there's so much conditioning that's happened that we really can't understand it from the outside. So in these places, these conversations have been going on for sometimes thousands of years. So that is generation after generation of babies, toddlers, everyone being told one thing or another. And it keeps the conflict in place, and it keeps the belief system about the other people in place without a sense of curiosity. And it really happens everywhere. I mean, even think about the Romeo and Juliet story. You've got these families that have been feuding and battling over whatever, and these prejudices had been passed on even to the children. And so this is what happens when we consider the influence that the people around us have had on us. Our parents, our extended family members, society, school, friends, media are always sending us a message. So if we were in a home that said, where our mom always said, men are just always like that, or where a dad said, women are always this way, oh, typical woman, then we have been ingrained with these belief systems and we don't question them because the subconscious mind is formed really early and it doesn't question its belief system. It actually believes that whatever is programmed in there is 100% accurate. And so it's not natural for us to question those beliefs, which is a problem. So one of the most compelling things that I think can shed some light on this is that society tends to label men as needing to be a certain amount of strong and without feelings. And in reality, the research says the opposite. When they research male babies, they are far more needy. They are far more sensitive. They feel very deeply. And because of this, they actually can shut down a little quicker because the pain of neglect hurts so much that oftentimes they throw up emotional walls to numb themselves out so they don't have to feel the pain because it's very intense. So that goes against what we're taught about men. And in a lot of these areas, we've been taught things that simply aren't true, and it strips away the humanity of the individual. So let's just take a look at some of the stereotypes of men. That they don't have empathy, that they're selfish, they're lazy, they're incompetent, they're controlling. These are all behaviors that are exhibited from people who have not done the inner work, who have not done the healing, and are trying to self-protect. And as they try to self-protect, they're trying to control things around them and abdicate their responsibilities. There are some men that do this, but not all. And the thing is that the men we hear about doing these things, these are the men that are like the squeaky wheel. These are the men that are louder or they approach more women. So if you think about it, well, a man who is not these things, that might be a little shy, think about a dating app. They might message 8 different women. And the man who's really arrogant, who's really full of himself, who's really selfish, or who's really honed the player skills, he's going to message maybe hundreds. So the impact of that one unhealthy person who might even have some real, maybe even narcissistic traits to them, they're going to impact a lot more people than the sort of kind, shy person. And so when you look at that in the big picture, you've got one man affecting maybe hundreds of women, and that's skewing the perception that maybe all men are like this. And I want you to take just a minute to think about the people in your life that you might know that do this, and how many people they have affected, and how loud they might be, and how they might be the squeaky wheel getting attention, but they may not necessarily be the majority of men. So overall, the toxic patterns tend to be more bold, and they tend to affect more people, and they tend to pursue more people, and have these patterns of thinking of others as something they can use. So they consume more, and that is where these stereotypes come from. It definitely doesn't mean that everyone's like that, but you can see how that starts. And then when those things are contributed to by societal messaging, parental messaging, our limited experience with the opposite sex growing up, you can see how this might taint your view. So now let's look at women. Women get labeled with a lot of things too. Self-centered, controlling, manipulative. And again, all of these things are getting labeled because those type of women get more airtime. They are your reality TV stars. They are the influencers that have a loudness to their message, right? Or they're the ones that stand out in a man's memory because their behavior was so hurtful that they made a huge impact on them, and then they start to think everyone must be that way. And women do that too. When men treat them badly, they tend to go, oh, maybe all men are this way, depending on their experience. So these are also the unhealed, immature versions of women. And the reality is that our life experience is really limited. And so we tend to look at things through the lens of our own experience. And I notice this when I work with women who have been in really narcissistic, emotionally destructive marriages for a long period of time, 1 or 2 decades. They really do not have the ability to see that other men aren't going to be like this. And even if they say they do, you can hear it in their actions and their words, in their regular dialogue, because they're actually subconsciously really, really skeptical. And men do this too. Men have, let's say, a really long, 20-year marriage, and their experience was really bad with someone who might have been really toxic, and they tend to assign these things to other people, or think eventually, it'll happen, they'll reveal their true colors, and it taints the way they view the world. So what's true? And how are we supposed to get clarity on that? With our reality being conditioned by everyone around us, our parents, our family, our friends, society, TV, social media, all of it, and the lens of what we personally experienced in our relationships, how do we decipher what's real? Well, I want to show you a little bit of what the healthy masculine and healthy feminine looks like. And I use these terms not to say that they're exclusive. Like, we all have masculine and feminine qualities about us, and we all have to call on them at different times. So what the healed version of each person really does is that they know how to tune into their own needs and wants. They aren't so externally focused. They're focused inside themselves, so they understand what's going on inside of them, and they're not just being reactive to what the other person says or does. They know how to express their desires. They know, once they're tuned into themselves, what they need, what they want, what they desire, and they know how to express it in a kind way that isn't demanding. They're either going to meet that need for themselves or they're going to ask someone around them to help them meet that need in a healthy way. They know how to make a request for time or needs or support. Asking for that is something that they have learned how to do, and they've learned how to do it in a kind way that is not demanding, bullying, or expecting the other person to give them an automatic yes. So they've also let go of controlling others around them without ignoring themselves. So they've let go of trying to control how other people react to them or what they say to them or what they do to them. And all at the same time, they are still tuned into what's going on within themselves so they can give themselves what they need, so they can create the boundaries they need, so they can remove themselves from a situation if need be, and they can be self-reflective about what part they might be playing. All of these are really healthy ways to exist, and a lot of people have the ability to do these, or at least the desire to learn how to do them better. So if you really want to shift the way you're thinking so that your energy isn't sending out vibes of judgment and condemnation to people around you for things they haven't done to you, then I really want you to start questioning your thoughts and feelings about these stereotypes and these beliefs. And if you're judging them, you're likely judging yourself even more harshly. I've found that the most judgmental people are very hard on themselves. They bully themselves mentally and emotionally into behaving the way they think they should be behaving. And because they do that, they feel justified in bullying everyone else around them with their mental thoughts about them and their judgments. So all of this can keep you from the ability of having the people in your life that you want, the kind of people you want to connect with, the kind of person you want to be. All of these internal thoughts can be controlling that, because your subconscious mind controls over 95% of everything you think, feel, and do. And because you don't have access to it, unless you're in hypnosis or there's extreme amounts of repetition, it's really difficult to make those shifts. And so awareness is a really good first step. So starting today, here are some things you can do. You can notice the judgments that are coming up. You can pause and you can challenge them. You can really ask yourself, do I 100% know this to be true about this individual? Am I making an assumption about them based on some bigger group here? And then I want you to notice the judgments that come up about yourself. The times you think, well, I should be doing that. I need to. These little critical inner thoughts about yourself, they're going to give you a lot of insight into how you're looking at other people. And then I want you to ask yourself if you can be more compassionate toward yourself in whatever area that is, where you tell yourself, I'm human. I know I make mistakes. Everyone else does too. I'm not the person I once was. Maybe they aren't the person they once were, or whatever the dialogue is that needs to be shifted there. Being really compassionate toward yourself helps you be more compassionate toward other people and more open to people, so that you're not having this fear around what they're going to do to you or how they're going to hurt you. You know who you are. You know how you feel, and you know how to express it, and you're not beating yourself up for any of those things anymore. So if you want to speed this process up, you could certainly look into custom hypnotherapy, because a custom hypnotherapy process helps you get into the subconscious mind so that you can reframe those beliefs where they began and create a new operating system for yourself moving forward. I always say it's a little bit like how a movie kind of goes back in time and changes one thing and it changes things on all the other timelines. It's a lot like that. When that inner part of you that once was afraid and scared and judgmental because of it gets healed and can finally relax, that's when you can be connected to your self-worth. You can be centered in yourself in a way that you're solid, you're grounded. You know that other people's thoughts, feelings, opinions, assumptions, criticisms really aren't about you as much as their own self-judgment. And so while you can be self-reflective about those things as they come up, you can also remember that you are human and that you're growing and learning each day, and you can exist in this calm way that exudes an energy that attracts other people that are like that. So I do this with my clients every day. I love it. I love watching their transformation, and I hear over and over, you changed my life. They tell me this, and I love hearing it. But the reality is, they changed their life. They reached out and got help. They took action to change these things so they could function different. And I just get to be a witness and a part of it. So again, if you'd like to learn more about that, check out the link in the description of this video. I would love to chat with you and see if we can get some clarity about what's holding you back and create a path moving forward. So until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.